Okay, I'm calling this the ABCs of mathematical card magic. So in the same sense that the letters of the alphabet make up all of the words that we use, I'm going to show you the three primary structures in the study of mathematical card magic. A majority of mathematical structures out there will be either a concatenation or composition of one or more of these simple primary structures. So I thought it would help the viewer learn some of the basic vocabulary that I use on my channel, and it will also help you develop your intuition for what's going on within these structures and between these structures. So the first type that we're going to look at here are called two cycles, abbreviated 2C. And so as you can see here, this is where I'm going to be working with just 6 cards here to keep it as simple as possible. So this is where we have a pattern of 3 cards or 3 values that repeats exactly. So we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now this is just one of 6 ways to arrange these values 1, 2, 3. The M here stands for mirrored. And so as you can see here, what's going on is there's like a reflection line here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. The final one I call an AMP. It stands for adjacent mirrored pairs. And so this is where you have repeating blocks. Here it's repeating pairs of those values. And this is once again just one of 6 ways that you could arrange these blocks of 1s, 2s, and 3s. Okay, and here are the names down below. So the important thing to understand is that each of these structures have mixing procedures or permutations that will leave the individual structure alone or convert it to an analogous structure of the same type. So for example, I have ace through 3 of clubs and ace through 3 of hearts. Okay, so that could be represented right here. Now one way to rearrange these cards and not fundamentally harm that is to just do a simple packet cut. So you just cut a certain number of cards to the bottom. I think I cut it exactly in half, actually. Okay. Or if you, maybe we'll cut one more to the bottom, just so it looks a little different here. Okay, so now the repeating pattern is 2, 3, ace, or think of the ace as 1, 2, 3, ace. Okay, so this is still a 2 cycle, having cycle length 3, and it's because there's 3 elements in each of the 2 cycles that make up that structure. Okay, so cutting a structure of this sort won't change its fundamental structure. So in particular, what that would mean then is no matter how many times you've cut this, what you can always do is if you just deal out each cycle, imagine this, it won't be probably, but 1, 2, 3, and then set out the next cycle, you're guaranteed to match up card values. Now we won't know where the aces or 2s or 3s are. Now we do. Okay, but you're guaranteed to achieve that because it's cyclic. Okay, now maybe we'll jump right into the one down here since we've actually put it in that organization. This is called an AMP. So we can put a couple of aces for 1s, a couple of 2s, and 3s. Okay, so this is called adjacent mirrored pairs. Now within each pair, it doesn't matter what order you put those in. It makes no difference to what we'll do. Okay, so these can be in any order. And more importantly, even the blocks themselves could be in different orders. So instead of having on the top, this is the top of the deck, a packet, instead of having aces, now we have 3s. And then 2s, and then aces. Okay, so we could rearrange these, we could rearrange these pairs and not fundamentally change the underlying structure. This is still, quote, an AMP. Okay, now there's quite a bit of mixing you can do with that and not harm it. So for example, dealing out any even number of cards, you can put 2 there and then 2 here if you want. It's not a very big packet size. Dealing out any even number of cards with random stacking, you're not going to change the fact that it's an AMP. We still have 2 aces, 2 3s, 2 2s. Okay? And if you know a structure is of this type, it's really easy to, quote, match up the pairs. You just push off pairs, right? They're already matched up, right? So you just push them off like that and you're done, okay? And then the third structure type is called a mirrored structure. So this is where you have, we don't have to have the colors lined up, but we could. So right here, this would be a mirrored representation of this packet of 6 cards, where the relation we have in mind for matching is that the cards be of the same value. Okay, so the outer ones are aces, 2s, 3s. Okay. Now, when it's in this organization, we have something called the stay stack principle. And that tells you that for each divisor of the packet size, and of course 2 divides 6, you can deal out the cards into that many piles, and it won't change the fact that it's a mirrored packet. Now the cards will be rearranged, as you can see, but it's, quote, still mirrored. 3, 2, and aces in the middle, okay? Now the number 3 also divides evenly into 6, so we can deal out into 3 piles. Hopefully I said that right. So 3 divides evenly into 6, so we can deal out into 3 piles with random stacking from left to right or right to left, and that won't change the fundamental structure of a mirrored packet. Okay, so it's still mirrored. Okay, and then there's many other ways to mix a mirrored packet and not harm it. Another great one is called an even or odd up jog. This is where you're jogging forward, let's say the even position cards with random stacking. It's still going to be mirrored. Okay? Now when a packet is mirrored, there's a really slick way to actually bring pairs together, and it's by taking the top and the bottom off as one. It's called the Klondike shuffle. Top and bottom off is 1, top and bottom off is 1. So we're guaranteed to match up the 3s, the 2s, and the aces. Okay, we won't necessarily know the order of those pairs, but we'll know that we've matched them up perfectly. Okay, now perhaps more interesting is the idea of converting one of these to one of the others and back. Be able to change it to a 2-cycle, then mirrored, then back to a 2-cycle, then an AMP, and then a mirrored, and so forth. And be able to do that easily using common shuffles. Okay, so for example, when it's an AMP, and I guess I should point out also, I have an entire series called Improv Card Magic, and I'll link it in the description below, because it talks about these structures and gives you just so many examples of cool mathematical effects that you can do understanding just these basic 3 primary structures. Okay, so take a look at that series. I think you'll find it very interesting. Okay, so this is an AMP right now. If we want it to be a 2-cycle, it ends up that there's a really easy way of doing that. You just do a left-right shuffle with random stacking. This will convert it into a 2-cycle. Okay, so we'll have a pattern that repeats twice. 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and there's an easy way to go backwards too. One way is to use the Farrell shuffle. If you've heard of Farrell shuffle before, this is where you divide the cards exactly in half, and then you just perfectly interlace the cards, and that will take it back to an AMP. Okay, so here we'll have 3s on a couple of 3s, a couple of 2s, and then the 2 aces at the bottom. Okay, now from here, if we wanted a mirrored structure, something called the mange over under or under over will do it. So here's the mange over under. You push the top card into your other hand, and then you go over, under, over, under, over. It's guaranteed to be mirrored now. Okay, so here it is, ace, 2, 3, 3, 2, ace. And notice that the colors are getting mixed, and they will as you perform these shuffles. But we'll know what the overall structure is. So even though I don't know exactly like where the ace of clubs is. I just know that wherever it is, the other ace is in a mirrored position relative to that first ace. Same thing for the 2s and 3s. Okay. There's a really slick way to go from a mirrored structure to a 2-cycle. You can also do a mange, over, under, or under, over. That's kind of nice. So now that will convert it to a 2-cycle structure. Okay. So this is a cyclic construction. Ace 3-2, ace 3-2. Okay. A way to get back to a mirrored structure from a 2-cycle is to use the Klondike shuffle. Isn't that nice? You take the top and bottom off as 1. Set those down and it's back to being mirrored again. Okay. 2 ace 3, 3 ace 2. Okay. I can show you another way to go from here to there. If you just perform a 50% coding, this is where you just deal out half the cards, drop the rest on top. In fact, you can actually randomly stack those 2 halves, and now it's back to a 2-cycle structure. What's really cool is if you do another 50% dealing with random stacking, it takes you back here. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, random stack. Maybe you want left on right. This time, that's fine. Now it's guaranteed to be mirrored. So a 50% coding takes you from here to here and then also from here to here. It takes you back. Even though it doesn't take you back to the exact ordering of the cards, it will take you back to the correct structure. Okay, so a 2-cycle goes to a mirrored and a mirrored goes to a 2-cycle with a 50% coding. Another way to go from here to here is something called the Bessey 1-1. Take the top, you go top, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom. There's just 1 card left. And it's technically a different arrangement or permutation than the Klondike shuffle is. But it's taking us back to an AMP. I have 2 3s, 2 aces, 2 2s. Okay. One that I haven't been using as much as I should is to go from here to here. There's a really powerful way to do it using the left-right shuffle, but I call it the random left-right. So what does that mean? That means you deal out like the first level. Now this next card, you can give the spectator the choice to put it on the left or on the right. And then you finish off that level, and then this can go on either side. Okay, and the other one completes that level. And then randomly stack these, then you're looking at a 2-cycle. Okay, and so that's actually when I should be using more because it gives the spectator more choices, and so therefore it gives them the illusion that they're really changing the outcome. Well, in some sense they are changing the outcome. They're just not changing the outcome structure of the packet. That's the key. Okay, so it's still going to be a 2-cycle. Okay, and then I mentioned cutting the cards here. It won't harm it. A much more powerful shuffle is this top to bottom, bottom to top, top to bottom. It's called the Charlier shuffle. Okay, so I'll add a link in the description below to the Charlier shuffle, but boy, is it a powerful way to move the cards around. Now, 6 cards aren't that many for performing this shuffle. If you have more cards, it's even more impressive. But all of that mixing is equivalent to just cutting the cards at some location. And because of that, it will still be a 2-cycle of some sort. So now it's 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and with the reds and blacks mixed a bit. Okay, so those were most of the basics I was going to show you. I just want you to know that what underlies 90% of everything on my channel are these structures at the heart of everything, or like I said, the composition of these or concatenation of these. Okay, and concatenation just means you put 2 things next to each other. So for example, if we had 6 cards that look like this, another 6 cards that kind of had this arrangement and they're next to each other so that you have 12, this would be the concatenation of a 2-cycle with a mirrored structure. Well, there's special things that you can do with that kind of arrangement of the cards. And so, in some sense, this is a view of the atomic level of mathematical card magic. because at the heart of so many card effects are these very, very simple structures. And with them, you can accomplish so much that gives the appearance of tremendous freedom as the spectator's making genuinely free choices, but in the end, they don't actually change the outcome that you, the performer, are hoping for. Okay, so it makes you look like a card wizard. Okay, so anyway, take a look at that other series called Improv Card Magic, and I just wanted to cover some of these basics because I think some people have jumped into some of my more advanced videos and they hear things like two-cycle or mirrored or AMPs and they have no idea what they are. Okay, so I'm just kind of giving you a glimpse of, okay, this is what the vocabulary means, this is what the structures look like in a very simple example, and then you can build on that to understanding more complex mathematical card magic routines. So I appreciate you watching and encourage you to take a look at other videos on the Absolute Math Magic channel.